Hey everybody, MS Farzan here, and in this video I'm going to give you a quick tour around the new and very much improved Entromancy Compendium App. The Entromancy Compendium App brings together content from Entromancy, a cyberpunk fantasy RPG, including the Orchid Age expansion content, the Night Path trilogy, and Entromancy hacker battles in one easy-to-use location. It should be pretty fairly easy to navigate, and I must say it performs the best on desktop in Chrome, but it should be mobile responsive as well. And so we'll find stuff like character class information for the RPG, card information for hacker battles, and a bunch of other stuff. So as you can see here, well, right at the top, if you have any feedback or you run into any issues, just send us an email at info@entromancy.com, and I'll put the link for the Compendium app in the description of this video as well. So if you click any of these buttons, you'll be taken into that section. The Characters tab will bring up the different races for Entromancy, a cyberpunk fantasy RPG, including the Troll race, which is in the Orchid Age expansion. Also, all of the classes, some of which are in the Orchid Age expansion, and each class has a subsection where you can access the feats for that class, or the talents, or the spells, depending on the type of class. Like if there's there are spells that'll be listed, what kind of action it takes, what range, what the duration, how much ceridium. And similarly, if there are feats that require other feats, the requirements will be listed there. You can also check out the destinies if your character is of the appropriate mission requirement, and all of their skills, or I should say the spells or talents, will be listed here. If you're interested in pulling from the lore of Entromancy fiction, we have all of the key locations and key characters here. And then the equipment section has quite a few things. It has all the class equipment from the Entromancy RPG, as well as the mission equipment, which includes standard gear, advanced gear, standard faction gear, advanced faction gear, standard cybernetics, and advanced cybernetics, including what happens if you enhance them using ceridium. One of the coolest features, at least in my mind, of the Compendium app is it collects all of the content from the Struct expansion, which is part of the Orchid Age, both Module 2 of the Orchid Age, which introduces Struct as a GM-less or GM-light role-playing system. Essentially, if you want to play Entromancy but you don't necessarily want to do a lot of work in GMing or creating campaigns, or you want to play it solo and not have a GM at all, you can use Struct. And the way that works, I have another video on this, which I'll probably just add that as the recommended video at the end of this video for how to use it. You use any number of these interfaces, which are included here at the top, like the global objective. All you have to do is to figure out a global objective is you roll a d12, a 12-sided die, and then it'll give you your global objective. Or if you're playing the present past, part 1 or part 2, which are included in the Orchid Age expansion as modules 3 and 4, you can use the outcomes that are listed here in using a 4-sided die. If you want a faction objective, you can just grab one from here. How many faction points, which locations you should use, what kind of encounter, based on rolling a 100-sided die, or rolling 2 d10s and figuring out which would be the encounter. Like if you're going to have to do a skill check, or if you are going to encounter combat, what the skill difficulty should be, what the outcome would be if your character succeeds or fails at a skill check, which NPCs they might run into based on the encounters interface, the disposition of the NPC, whether they're hostile, unfriendly, friendly, allied, or neutral, the difficulty of the combat, meaning what kind of adversaries you'll face. The adversaries are all listed here, and these, of course, refer back to the core rule book of the Entromancy role-playing game. And then there are two other interfaces that are included in Module 3 and Module 4, the Present Past Part 1 and Part 2 expansion series. Finally, there's card information for Entromancy Hacker Battles, which is a standalone card game with TCG elements that you can play by itself or incorporate into your Entromancy game in terms of hacking, with the objective cards, the different types of functions that are available, and the specialization cards. So I should mention that this is meant to be a resource for you to use, so you don't have to have the books with you all the time. You still will need to have the core rule books and, of course, any of the expansion books if you want to refer to them to figure out how the game is played. And there's a free to download, free to play new player's guide that you can, I'll actually link that in the description as well, that you can use, that allows you to get started with up and running with the game, have the base core mechanics and how magic works, and etc. Actually, I'm not sure if magic is in that part. You might need to get the full rule book for that, but in any case, it'll onboard you pretty quickly to the game, and then you can just have this on your phone and be playing around with it instead of having to use the books. Even as a GM, you could probably use this to pull your lore or pull your struct global objectives or faction points. You'll still need the core book to figure out how these things interface with one another, and how the interfaces themselves work are listed in Module 2 of the Orchid Age expansion. And the one thing that's definitely missing for GMs is we haven't included any monsters here. Those are all listed in the core rule book and in the a couple of the expansion modules as well. And really the reason just is that there's so much information in there, and this app itself represented quite a bit of data entry simply to get it up and running and have all of this content here. So yeah, I haven't really seen a use case for having all the monsters listed here, so that's missing. You'll definitely need to have the rule books for that if you wanted to pull that up, but it's pretty easy to find anyway. So cool. Yeah, so that's the Entromancy Compendium app. I hope that you enjoy using it. If you have any feedback, please do send us a message at info@entromancy.com. You can also like this video and subscribe for more content like this, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon.